All right, welcome in everybody. The first TKR live show of the season is starting now. It's me, your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie O'Leary. And for this edition, a special guest host, David Anderson, to chop it up and talk Rutgers' 34-31 win over the Ohio Bobcats. And in my preview, I did say our buttholes are going to be about this tight at some point, and it was like that for most of the second half because Parker Navarro, he was that guy. He was somebody. I don't know what it is about these mobile quarterbacks early on in the season, especially against Greg Schiano defenses, but they give us nightmares. And Rutgers was able to pull it out largely due to the pure size of the sack of the offensive staff, trusting Ethan Kaliak-Manis to bring the victory home. 5 for 5 on the day with fourth down conversions, a huge 4th and 7 conversion deep in Ohio territory to salt the game away. Rich, you were at the game. What was just the overall, macro level thoughts on how this one went for you?
Yeah, I think everyone in the press box wrote the win at halftime, and then everyone was like, "Oh shit, maybe we shouldn't have done that." Like, and backspace, edit this, edit that. But yeah, no, I mean, it was just a good atmosphere. I thought it was really. The crowd wasn't as much as I thought it would be, and I know they announced 46,000. Bullshit. Like, it might have been more like 30,000, 32,000 tops, but students showed up. It was a good vibe. In terms of the game, I really thought like, oh my God, I was right. The offense is clicking, full cylinders, 31 points in the first half. And I'm thinking like, holy shit, like over's going to hit in the first half. This is great. Defense, not so much. That's kind of what helped the over almost hit in the first half. But yeah, I mean, dual threat quarterback, Greg Schiano's defense, they just don't mix. And I don't know if they're ever going to mix at this point. It's 17 years into coaching Rutgers and nothing's changed really. So, but yeah, a win's a win. So I guess that's really all that matters.
How about you, David? High level thoughts on how this game went?
Yeah, I mean, I think the offense was even better than could have been reasonably expected. I know we had high expectations. And on the defensive side, it was the combination of everything. It was the combination of Ohio making some nice plays, some nice pre-snap reads, kind of taking advantage of Rutgers' miscues a little bit, but then also a little bit of lack of foot speed, it seemed. I think there's a couple guys in the Rutgers defense that got better and seemed faster as the game went along. So hopefully that continues into next week and the rest of the season. So, and then the other encouraging thing is across the conference, as you know, we're recording this, Miami and Wisconsin are in a 3-0 game, and then Minnesota's offense hasn't done much either. So, you know, I think there's reason to believe that other opponents won't have the same level of offensive execution that the Ohio Bobcats showed tonight.
I'm going to pull up the stats from the game here so everyone can kind of see. But overall, as both of David and Richie have alluded to, offense was even better than I think I even could have expected in this one. I don't know if it's showing. Is my screen showing up here, guys?
No, I think I can
share it. I think you have to allow it. Okay. So on offense, Ethan Kaliak-Manis went 18 of 23 for 252 yards and 2 touchdowns, 11 yards. I don't know if that's the average yards per attempt or yards per completion, but Antoine Raymond had 14 yards, 14 carries for 88 yards, 6.3 yards per carry and a touchdown. CJ Campbell had 10 rushes for 70 yards. Sean Benjamin had 3 carries for 17 yards. On the receiving end, Ian Strong led the team with 7 catches for 100 yards, no touchdowns. DT Sheffield had 4 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. KJ Duff had 5 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Colin Weber and Kenny Fletcher each had 1 catch each. This pass chart kind of looks like me playing college football 26, where I just kind of have a handful of plays that I can run to the same guys over and over. That's kind of how it felt, is they just kept going to these slants to mostly Ian Strong, the late one, obviously, to DT Sheffield for the completion on the 4th and 7. But David, I'll ask this first to you. What was, the things on offense that were even better than what you could have expected, as you alluded to?
Number one was yards after contact. There were several plays where I think there was one Kenny Fletcher. He only had 1 catch for 6 yards, but he really had to fight to get those 6 yards and to set up a much better situation than I think it would have been a 3rd and long, and then either he got it or it set up like a 3rd and 1, if I'm remembering right. It was something like that. Similarly, DT Sheffield had a key conversion on the first drive after he dropped one. He shook it off, and on a key 3rd down, it was either 3rd, it might have even been 4th, he kind of ducked under a defender and just kind of squeaked out for the 1st down. And I think that last year we did not see enough yards after contact, even like yards after catch or contact. And not only were they, catching and running, they were beating some defenders physically in the process. And I think there's even more yardage that, KJ Duff might have even left out there. He stepped out of bounds on that one when he broke 2 tackles that didn't ultimately count. And then the running backs as well. I mean, they were falling forward and moving after contact. So, I mean, those are those yards they're going to need to convert or set up shorter, down and distances in a lot of these games that we didn't see. If we're asking how's the offense going to be better than last year, I mean, that's definitely one way. That was the first thing that stood out to me.
And you mentioned falling forward as a running back. That's such an underrated trait that the best running backs in recent memory for Rutgers have all had. You think of Kyle, you think of Juwan Jamison, you think of Ray Rice. They found those 2 hidden yards by never allowing the defense to bowl them over backwards. It was always them just leaning forwards, getting those body length yards, for lack of a better term. So they turn a 3-yard gain into a 5-yard game just from like falling forward and putting that nose of the ball down on the ground first. Rich, what was something on offense that stood out to you?
It's tough not to say the wide receivers because the passing game was just so elite today, but I would say I'm going to go wide receiver, actually. DT Sheffield's like separation off the line. Like, he's able to create such separation. He's able to break tackles. He's also just able to be explosive. He was their go-to guy when it was 4th and 7 late, and they hit him on a quick in route, and that was it. He was able to catch it. Obviously, there's a couple throws that were a little questionable today, but for the most part, like, the passing game in general was just phenomenal. And going back to what Dave said, like, breaking tackles for these wide receivers, like, there was the one with KJ Duff where he kind of like sidestepped the DB after he caught it. There was another one with DT Sheffield where he completely I don't even know if he juked or what you want to call it, but he just did like a quick little like move, and the DB just left and went out of bounds real quick, and he just kept running up the sideline. But there was just so many moments where this wide receiver core showed such flashes. And I just think that I've said it time and time again, like, if they can protect Ethan, this offense can go as far as it wants to. It's just everything else that's a little bit of a concern.
And if you look at his stats, Ethan, I realize my tab is being shared, but it's his best completion percentage as a Scarlet Knight tonight by far. His previous best was he completed 20 of 30 passes against Maryland last year, 67% completion percentage. Tonight he completed over 78% of his passes. So a great sign, and that's kind of what we were somewhat alluding to in our preview shows, where I set the over-under for his completion percentage at 58%, because I thought the combination of a better receiving core and some more easy button throws in this offense in year 3 with the talent level in general would present an opportunity to complete more passes in general. We were talking about before we started recording, David, how the offense looked great tonight, but there was opportunities for them to even be better. Do you want to talk through some of the things they kind of left on the bone, some of the meat they left on the bone today in the passing game or the offense in general?
Sure. I mean, I think kind of to Richie's point with DT Sheffield, they knew they couldn't guard him. So a lot of times they almost just left him uncovered at the line, and a quick, flare screen or just a quick hitter, even a jet sweep if you really wanted to do it that way, and he would have just been running free. There was definitely plays like that in the playbook that I would call them plays in the playbook as well as hot reads that they definitely could do, that we have seen them do in the past, that were not utilized today. That if a team is just going to give DT Sheffield 10 yards of cushion and you throw him that ball accurately, it's going to be really hard for a safety to come down or a linebacker to come out and not have him just run past the guy. And so those are what I noticed. And then I think that similarly for Strong and Duff, like, there was plays they made on curl routes and things like that, but there were still other times where the DBs were just backing off. So a lot of times when Rutgers was in a short down and distance, Ohio was kind of sending everybody, and you kind of knew it was coming, and Rutgers still ran it into that. When I think that as they feel more comfortable as an offense, they're going to just say, okay, we're not going to just run into a stacked box. If we see the DB bail, we kind of an option route. DB bails, hit him on a curl or something like that. If the DB doesn't bail, they can use their size on a lot of those slants in or square in or whatever you want to throw, and there's going to be guys open. One of you was making the point before we joined about how Ohio was allowing that space, that they were not cheating their middle defenders, whether it be safeties or linebackers outside. So that might not work against a team that does that, but a team that's going to stack the box like Ohio was doing in that second half, those plays are going to be open. If you have receivers, you can kind of like basketball style box out. And so a lot of those things Rutgers didn't take advantage of because they didn't need to win the game.
Yeah, and I thought there was a lot of very predictable looks that the offense was presenting. And for those of you who are watching, anytime that you had a pre-snap motion of Colin Weber going from one side of the formation to the other, you knew he was going to be setting some kind of like ceiling, like wham block in the run game. And that's the kind of thing where last year, anytime like Kenny Fletcher would go in that kind of motion, he would be like flaring out for, a pass in the pass formation. So I hope that those are kind of things they're setting up for later on in the season, the same way that they didn't check out of obvious, run blitzes from Ohio when, they had, one-on-one opportunities with like one high safety. Because there's a famous Greg Maddux quote. I don't know if anyone has heard this story where it was like a July series against the Astros, and it was late in the game. It was like the 7th inning, and he was facing Jeff Bagwell, and they were up by like 4 runs.
It was like 8-0 or something like that.
You know what I'm talking? You've heard this story then, David, right?
Yeah, and he told Eddie Perez, who was his personal catcher, he would never throw inside to Bagwell ever. So Maddux, who actually famously called his pitches when he would catch the ball from the previous one, signaled. So Perez went out and talked to him, and he said, "No, I'm throwing this inside." And so then after the game, Eddie Perez went and talked to him, and he said, "Why did you do that?" Because Bagwell hit a 3-run homer. It was like 8-3. Braves went on to win the game anyway. And he said, "We're going to see them in the playoffs." Sure enough, playoffs come. He strikes out Bagwell in a key situation on 3 pitches, all pitches outside, because he's like, he was waiting for that pitch.
And I say that to, if Rutgers continues to present the same look and maybe calls something off of that later in the future, do you think that might be the reason why they keep putting the same look on tape in hopes that later in the season they could call like a play action off that to get a huge game?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because as a defense, you when you're studying film, you see certain plays on tape, and then you build your confidence over time. This is what they run. This is what they run. This, and you watch the film over and over and over again, right? So I'm sure Miami players are going to Miami, Ohio for next week's opponent are going to watch this game, 6 times. And if they just keep seeing that in their mind, as soon as they see it, that's what they think Rutgers is going to do. And if you recall last year, you're right. That's what they did at the beginning of the season. And then all of a sudden against Virginia Tech, they're just throwing it to Fletcher after he had been blocking on that wham block earlier, and they couldn't stop it. So it's possible that that's the next progression, and then hopefully there's something on top of that as well. But absolutely, you're correct.
So that's something that I guess as a play caller, you're kind of building these layered concepts that you want to implement slowly throughout the season to build these advantages. So you're not showing those, because I think a lot of people, when they think like, you haven't shown plays on tape yet, it's like you have this like secret flea flicker thing you're going to launch out like later in the season. And really it's more these nuanced, layered concepts where like you show the same look, but you call something different out of that look, rather than, the previous 10 times you had this look on the field, you did X, and now you're doing Y.
Well, I'll make one other quick story about that. There's a famous story. The Packers are playing the 49ers in the playoffs, and Brett Favre went to it. I don't think it was Robert Brooks. I think it was Antonio Freeman. And he's like, "I'm going to call this exact play, but when I call it, everyone's going to expect that you're going to run like basically an in." He's like, "Just fade to the corner. They'll never expect it." And of course, he hit it. Packers win that playoff game, and the story just becomes legendary because they used to do that, and now offensive coordinators have evolved to the point that they're thinking that far ahead now, right? That he's already got that in the playbook per se, that, we're going to run this action, build on it, build on it, build on it, build on it.
Mm-hmm. What else stood out to you from the offensive side of things, Rich, before we get into the defense?
I mean, run game, we didn't even talk about it, but you can literally just input any running back you want, and they all just kind of produced. Like, I know Antoine Raymond obviously had some of the big runs, but then you put in CJ Campbell late, and he starts producing pretty well. Hell, even Benjamin had some solid carries too, and he didn't get a bunch of them, but I mean, they averaged what between the three of them? It was well over 5, I think. Yeah, 5.7, 6.3. It's tough because like the eighth and minus 0.8, it kind of throws things
numbers up.
Yeah.
So they had 27 carries as a unit for 6.5 yards per carry from the running backs.
There you go. So yeah, but I mean, Antoine Raymond looks like a dog. Yeah, and like he just looks like almost Kyle Monangai 2.0, and he doesn't have Kyle Monangai's number. That's CJ Campbell, and then you watch him out there, and you're like, okay, he's pretty good too. Like they also got holes up front too. Like that offensive line really created a lot of just gaps that they could just get through, and then they just have really good vision too, which is it just goes back to everything that we've said about this running back room. It's not going to miss a beat. It looks like
it is kind of wild that. I don't even think CJ Campbell saw the field for the first 3 or 4 drives. Like it was just Antoine Raymond and it was Jishawn Benjamin coming in on third downs. And then they kind of, brought him in to kind of go against a beaten up, Ohio defense later in the game. So it's quite a 1-2-3 punch, honestly. But the run game was very impressive. Everything about you really have to nitpick on the offense. I thought they looked that impressive. It was, I called in a night line after the game, and I would say it's an A-, maybe an A performance. And not shout out, but condolences to the guy on Nightline who got in a car accident on live on the radio. Total bummer for him. Hopefully, he's totally sober when he got in that accident because could get, really bad way to end a good night for that Scarlet Knights fan.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But there was one comment, and I see this, and I'm like, I'm not picking on people, but like, no, come on. Like, we just saw 3 backs all produce really, really well. If you have 3 backs that can produce at a high rate, you don't need to give it to one guy. Like, I think we can all agree on that, right?
I don't think we had a single target to the running backs either, so that could be another layer to the offense we implement as the season goes on, because I mean, a guy like CJ Campbell is a legitimate weapon out of the backfield in the pass game.
Better.
Yeah, they're a huge handful. I guess we could kind of touch on the defense, and obviously if anyone has any questions, we're going to, highlight you throughout. So keep bringing them in. But defensively, I think Schiano, in his own way, was tempering expectations with this defense, and rightfully so, because they did not look good at all. The Ohio offense was kind of able to get whatever they wanted throughout the entire game. Parker Navarro was everything as advertised. 21 for 31 passing, 239 yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. Another 9 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown on the ground. I think it just felt like he was playing backyard football and Rutgers didn't have an answer for it. Like he was very, and that's one of the disappointing things, because it was clear he's most comfortable when he is rolling out, not scrambling, but when he's rolling out of the pocket, and Rutgers didn't do anything like blitz from the corners to kind of try and contain him. They just kind of allowed him to stay comfortable. And even when he was, scrambling out, he was just like lofting these balls up, and we had no answer for it. Like the touchdown he threw in the low red zone where he scrambled out was just like the most dead duck throw I've ever seen, or maybe not ever seen, but the most dead duck throw of the game. And it was, on target. Like he was getting it to the guys he needed it to. But in general, I was very disheartened by the defensive performance today. David, what was, I guess, if you had to point to one thing that you were most disappointed with in this defense, what was it?
Well, I said it in the pregame that I had with Aaron Brightman on Scarlet Faithful, is you have to control the edges in both the run and pass game, because if you let them get those running angles, then they're going to break him for big yards, and you're going to let him break the pocket. If we look at this Rutgers team, when they've had success in the last 2 years, it's when they keep quarterbacks, especially the mobile ones, inside the pocket. So even if you're not rushing him, but especially a shorter guy like Navarro, if he has to stay in the pocket and make those longer throws, then it really does a lot of things. Number one, you can't play that backyard football, and you saw he had really good ball control, a couple of flips. The other thing, it also helped your defensive backs, because if you remember the game that Chris Ash got fired against Michigan, Rutgers was getting killed because the quarterback for Michigan, I'm forgetting his name, the one who was the transfer from Ole Miss, was just running outside, and then the defensive backs were in good position, but then you don't know when you're supposed to adjust your coverage, because as a D-back, you have to assume that he's still in the pocket, and then receivers see the play break, and then they can adjust their routes. And it's really, really hard to play defensive back or anyone in coverage if that's happening. So whatever Rutgers needs to do to keep him in the pocket or force him to a certain area, I mean, they just didn't do any of that today. Hopefully, it's because they were just playing vanilla in the first game. But, I mean, obviously, Navarro was one step ahead of them the entire game. And if it weren't for a couple big plays on key drive at the end, I mean, we might be having a different conversation.
Rich, how about you? What was something that stood out that the defense did?
Didn't do well.
They didn't do a whole lot well today, so I guess it's really only negatives.
Dave, Shea Patterson, right?
Shea Patterson. He rushed for, I think, 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, he was supposed to be so good too. And then, I mean, that game was good, but
he was
most of his career.
He was a 5-star guy coming out of high school. Yeah, he was.
Anyway, defense. Not a lot good. I feel like I'm really concerned about that secondary now. Like Cam Miller got cooked a couple times. Bo Mascow got cooked to the point where they took him out completely and put Al-Shadi Salam in. Al-Shadi Salam, mind you, running back 2 years ago. And then on top of it all, Jet Elad just took some of the worst angles of all time. He was like a speeding bullet, or I think Alec called him a missile at one point. And it's just a missile you can't redirect. Like, he's going full speed straight. And if that guy hits one juke move, it's gone. Like, on top of that, I think Parker Navarro, I want to hype the guy up a lot. Like, he was just phenomenal. And I think it's not just he's just so smart of a quarterback too. He's got football IQ. Like, even on that one pressure that they had him in the backfield, done dead to rights, and he does the little shovel pass. Like, it's just quick instinct, like quick thinking. Oh shit, what do I do? Here, go. Like, it's just little things like that. On top of the fact that he's mobile, which makes even more dangerous. I think like Greg said it perfectly. I thought, if he's 3 inches taller, he's at Notre Dame or something. Like, he is that good. The fact that he's still at Ohio, even at his height, is shocking. Like, I feel like he should have left personally. But hey, I mean, if you like the MAC, I guess you like the MAC.
It was pretty stark when watching him roll out and scramble versus Athan the few times he tried to step up and get some yards on the ground. Like, Parker is just a different level athlete than Athan is when running the ball. But just generally, I think it was really concerning that you have a totally new offensive line for Ohio. They have one returning starter who got kicked in from left tackle to left guard, and he got supplanted by Shedrick fucking Rhodes, who couldn't even crack the 2 deep last year at Rutgers, and he's the starting left tackle, and Rutgers was not able to get a single sack. They were not able to really bring any pressure all night. And sure, when you have a mobile quarterback, pressure is more elusive than a statue kind of pocket passer. But there was maybe like 2 instances where I even thought they should have had a sack and he got away from it. He just was able to consistently get away from from pressure all night. Thought it was interesting on like the money downs, like the NASCAR package Rutgers brought in was Jordan Walker and Eric O'Neill on the outside, and then Jordan Thompson and Bradley Weaver on the on the interior. And Bradley Weaver was kind of getting moved around along the defensive line a lot, but he looked pretty pedestrian all night. Really concerned with the defensive line, as we kind of talked about all offseason, is like, we were hoping, I guess, maybe that these guys would step in and kind of replicate their high level of production at a higher level. And we didn't see any of it tonight. David, was there anything that you saw on the defensive line that maybe was were they getting the kind of pressure you were hoping for? Or was the defensive line getting blown off the ball? Like, what did you see, watching it from home that,
they were just, they were doing okay, particularly like we talked about preseason. of not getting gouged by runs straight up the gut. So that's a positive. That's kind of where we were last year, even though they gave up, they were worse than the Big Ten in rushing yards per carry allowed. They weren't giving a lot of straight up the middle. So at least you have that as a building block. The other thing I would say is, against a slightly less mobile quarterback or someone who's a little less savvy, it's possible that just they'll be able to keep them in a little bit better. I do think that there was a couple times Weaver and O'Neal, because we had a comment from Leo about how they didn't really get pressure. I saw some possible second effort pressure, which was just completely not there last year. For example, in that UCLA game, where if they didn't get pressure on right away, there was nothing. And I think they might get some second effort sacks for that type of thing. Jordan Walker, I would say, he had one or two nice plays in there, but I was kind of expecting more against the MAC opponent. So no, I mean, it was a little hard to see on TV because obviously I was not at the game and we don't have the all 22 film yet, but it didn't seem like they were either penetrating gaps or pushing their guy backwards. It felt like they were just kind of standing tall, kind of, and then if plays went outside, they went outside, and that was it. So yeah, I mean, this was my biggest concern in the offseason. I think there's a chance they might work a little bit better, but if that's your NASCAR package and you can't get pressure and you can't stop the run, then they're going to have to do other things like blitz linebackers and DBs, because there's no way they're getting pressure with four, no matter which four they are at this moment. Hopefully, again, we're just overreacting to one game.
And this is what Jake Butt was saying, right, Rich? When you talked to him, he was basically saying they're going to need to probably, send guys to get pressure this year.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys are moving up. Number one, number two, a lot of these guys haven't even started. Zaire Angoy hasn't started any games at all. Keshawn Griffin, I think, started 4 games last year, and that's after year what? Yeah, it was year 4 last year for him, I think. This is year 5, year 6, whatever it is. So I feel like on top of it, they need experience. And then I think you could argue that their best defensive tackle is out for the year too, which isn't helping things. And Doug Louis, he was just a run stuffer at that point. Just a guy that had experience at TCU, USF, was producing at producing at USF. But I mean, these guys all produced at lower levels too. Eric O'Neal and Bradley Weaver, these are lower level guys. You expect them to do all this stuff because you see the rankings and transfer portal rankings. You're like, oh, top 100 guys, this is great. In reality, they're still going to have time to adjust, but it is against a MAC team, so that's the tough thing. And then Bradley Weaver, to be fair, is not 100% either, so I think we can throw that out there at this point. So I think that played a factor. It's a big reason probably why he didn't start either. I don't think he started playing significant snaps until probably second, third quarter even.
Well, it was late in the first half that he had the near targeting, and that was the first time he was in, I think, for a full drive. Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, I think that he'll get healthier over time. Greg said it multiple times. A lot of these guys on defense were dinged up. Even on offense, they're dinged up, and they're not fully 100%. But season's here now, so it's not. You can't really make that excuse anymore, I guess. But we'll just have to wait and see. But I mean, there's so much to do with that defensive line that needs a lot of work, and you got 3 damn defensive line coaches right now, so someone's got to be able to figure it the fuck
out. Let's talk a little bit of special teams here. I thought overall special teams looked pretty good. Kind of embarrassing to start the game kicking the kickoff out of bounds. You got the blocked kick, so we've already got 1 defensive touchdown and 1 blocked kick up on the. We all picked the over for both of those, so it's a feather in our caps, I guess.
Halfway home. Then again, they were halfway home on the defensive TDs in the first drive last year, right? So
love it. Yeah. I thought Jay Patel looked good, and the moments that they gave him opportunities to kick. Largely, though, I think we're gonna need these splash plays on special teams more this year than maybe not ever, but in most years, because the defense is going to be a sieve or whatever you say it, however you say it. Maybe sieve. Yeah. It's gonna, we talked about, and I want to shout out, I know you shouted him out several times for just saying this, but Scarlet Rogue was on it first saying Rutgers is going to need to be a Big 12 team to kind of win games this year. And this is what it was. This was a Big 12 style game tonight where it was a lot of offense, and these kind of situational football. I don't want to say situations again, but it was gutsy calls throughout the game that won us this game, and it was execution on offense that really won us. And how many? I mean, we were 1 of 9 on third down, and you point to the 5 of 5 on fourth is a great stat, but they need to not force themselves into those positions all game, because that's kind of where we were not. I mean, maybe it's like the game plan is like, hey, if it's 3rd and 4, we're gonna feel comfortable running it and getting to 4th and 2, kind of like what the Eagles do, where they just kind of like get themselves into a position where they trust the offense to convert on 4th and short pretty regularly. But I mean, we were going for it on 4th down, like 4th and I think what was the down and distance on the 4th down from our own 29? Do you know, David?
I have to look back at it.
Okay,
it was
find it
like medium.
Yeah, it wasn't like 4th.
The first one was 4th and 3. The second one was also on the first drive, was like on their side. So then that was like the 3rd or 4th one, right? That was from their own 29.
Mm-hmm.
4th and 3, and then 4th and 2 was the Raymond touchdown.
He ran. Oh yeah.
That was on the opposite side. Yeah, and then after that, there was a 4th and 1 with CJ Campbell.
It was. They're talking about. There's one in the second half. It was like early in the second half, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I mean, that's honestly that's showing like the level of growth that Schiano has as a coach. That if you would have told me Schiano in 2020 even would go for it from our own 29 on 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, whatever it was, I would have told you you're crazy. So he's clearly adjusting to the kind of growing, because that's like a numbers play, right? You should be going. There's some gut to it, but there's a lot of just like, you gain 2 percentage points in expected win rate if you go for it here versus if you punt and all that kind of shit. But anything that stood out to you guys on special teams other than kind of what we already kicked around here?
I mean, punting, there was one punt. Kicking, pretty solid. 14 kicks in a row was a program record, which I was a little shocked by. Like, wow. I just didn't think that was that low of a record. But shout out to Jay Patel for having that record now, I guess. Kick return, kind of forced into a kick return.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
It is kind of infuriating when they're kicking short and you got a guy running to a ball with momentum, catching the ball at like the 17 and fair catching it when he could easily just take 2 strides and get to the 25.
He looked on TV like if he would have just beat one guy, he was gone because of the way that maybe 1.5. But then the Ohio's coaches, to their credit, they were smart. Then that's why on the second kick they squibbed it, because they're like, there's no way if they see what just happened on film that we're going to get burned. That's why I was kind of afraid of an onside kick all game, because I'm like, they know they can't really stop Rutgers unless they can force them into a 3rd and short. And then the second half, I texted you guys that I thought that maybe it was coming on that first score. But then on the flip side, I was like, well, they probably should show some confidence in their defense, which was right, that they gave their defense a little confidence on that first drive, which they stopped Rutgers. And then the mistake they made was not onsiding it the next time, because Rutgers went down the field and scored. But because there's only 3 drives in the second half, which is still crazy. I still can't believe that.
Yeah.
Rutgers scored 3 points in the second half on 3 drives.
Yeah.
I mean, they iced the clock on the last one, but
yeah.
I'm still kind of confused as to what happened on the squib out of bounds by Ohio. So Rutgers commits a penalty. I think it was like a face mask on a touchdown, and Ohio kicks it off from the 50 instead of the 35. They squib it out of bounds, and there's a short conference, and Rutgers gets the ball at the 20, which I didn't understand the reasoning behind that, and I wasn't watching it.
I didn't know that was a college rule, but in the NFL, there's the ability to add to the end of the kick. Mm-hmm. So it's weird, though. I wouldn't think if you kicked it from the 50, you kind of like would get it double counted. That was why it was confusing to me. But it must have been something like that, or there must have been some offset or something.
So HJG, Richie, if you want to highlight that, he said the Ohio out of bounds kick from the 50 was on purpose. It was heads up coaching. It did seem that way, because that seems like it didn't really make sense otherwise. But yeah, shout out to the Ohio coach for really being heads up on that play. Leo's also asking Mike or Rich, when did Doug Blue Eli get hurt? Was it recently? It must have been recently because Schiano is pretty good about the season-ending injury situation. So it must have been within the last week.
A little more than that, but yeah, I mean, he didn't participate in the scrimmages. It wasn't official. Like I think I said it with the Ryder Langsdale thing when we talked about him. Like they have to, like you could say a guy is officially out for the year, but they still have to go through the process, go to a doctor, make sure he's definitely out, all that other nonsense that you have to like, all right, maybe he can come back like a little bit later. And you don't want to say he's out for the year, and then he pulls a Tyler Needham, and he's like, "Oh, holy shit, look at that! That guy's out there again!" Like, and you don't want to do that. But yeah, no, it was like a little bit more than like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, something like that.
So I saw, I don't know if this is real or not. Did Daryl Dingoe also get announced as out for the year?
No, I don't know, and it's such a shame because our good friend of the pod built up that website, and it's just posting false news.
Oh, that was the OTB post?
Yeah, they posted Dingoe out for the year, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no, not even, no. Like, he was just out there. I just saw him. Like, and they posted that before the game, mind you, but.
Yeah, so he also is planning on, hey, Alex here.
What's up, Alex? I made it. What's up, guys? What's up? I was
just signing off.
I was about to start typing in the YouTube chat. Hey, can someone send me the link? But I'm here now, so it's all good.
Yeah, can you send the link out to everybody in the chat, please?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
You want to do that?
No, I don't want that. I don't want that smoke. But I guess Doug Blue Eli is planning on coming back next year. He's going to redshirt.
Yeah, that's locked in. Per source, like he is coming back 100%. Ryder Langsdale's still deciding. Doug Blue Eli is back. Basically, what Felter did last year.
What is, not that any of us have an answer, just kind of want to put it out there. What's up with all these like fifth-year guys coming in and not playing or getting hurt? And he got Shedrick Rhodes last year. Everyone kind of expected him to be at least depth. Doesn't play. Ends up, going elsewhere. Ryder Langsdale gets hurt. Doug Blue Eli gets hurt.
It's Jay Butler's fault.
Yeah, let's blame Jay Butler.
No, I don't know, man. If you look at it, like the where they're coming from, like I feel like the strength and conditioning programs they come from, like really don't strengthen them that much. Like even Ohio, I had an Ohio coach, not Ohio coach, a Rutgers coach. I'm not gonna say who. Say it to someone pregame, and then they gave me word of what they said, and it was like, yeah, like those guys look like they don't even work out at all. Like in Ohio, like they all look like if you just put together like not a Pop Warner team. That's a poor way of doing it. If you put together one of those under 40 teams that's going viral right now, kind of what the Ohio team looked like. Just looking at them in general, like they didn't look like a football team. They looked like just washed up. Like, yeah, we played high school together, and that was cool. Now we're gonna try it in college. What was that fake team in Ohio? That fake high school team?
Bishop Sycamore.
That's basically what they looked like. And that, mind you, like you look at them just compared to Rutgers. Rutgers should have been mauling them all day long, but they just weren't. So, I mean, Midwest strength.
It's a thing. Dave, you want to talk about that?
I mean,
I think
my mom was actually a kinesiology major at Rutgers, so I've had to be learning about all this stuff for my whole life, But now a lot of the big trends are like farmers carries, which is basically just, and then there's a lot of like famously really strong people that's how they got so strong. Like Andre the Giant, obviously a giant, but that he got so strong just because he would be carrying like hay bales from like the time he was a kid, and then heavier and heavier and heavier stuff because it works your full body. So there's some science behind that about, getting too ripped isn't necessarily the right thing unless you're of a certain body type and certain age. So that's really where, I'm curious what happens with the new Rutgers strength and conditioning staff, right? Because it's more than just getting big, getting fast. It's getting resilient, not tearing your MCL playing ice hockey like I did recently, stuff like that,
I did see
sorry, go.
No, speaking of that, I saw a video recently where it was a professional rock climber was in like one of those like big like meathead gyms, and it was these two bodybuilders were doing. I don't know what the machine is, but it's that like bench press machine where you're just like you put the weights on both sides and you kind of sit in a chair, and you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like the Nautilus machine
Nautilus, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And this guy doesn't really lift. He just does a lot of rock climbing, and he like was, you know, cycling in with these guys who are maxing out, and he's doing it with ease while these professional bodybuilders are like struggling to get the weight up that they're maxing out on. They're like, how the hell do you do this? He's like, I don't know. I'm just trying to use good form here. And it just shows that like he's got all this functional strength from using his full body, because that's like rock climbing is like one of the fucking hardest things in the world to do. You know, actually like free climbing. So I thought that was kind of going along with what you're saying about, you know, functional, you know, farmer's carry type exercises that are actually building full body strength and endurance.
Just look at those Shaolin monks. Those guys are like so strong, and they're not big.
Alec,
Richie, you're gonna say something?
I was just gonna say it was stupid. I was just gonna say I'm more disappointed that Andre the Giant's beer record of like 120 beers wasn't what made him strong. It was actually farm strength. Wow, and like would have known.
Get those carbs.
All right, I'll drink 120 beers. I'll let you know how I do.
You'll be dead.
Maybe. One way to find
out. I'll be all right. Alec, you were in the presser with Greg Schiano. What was his mood? Well, we could play the presser after we talk to you about it, but what was his general mood like in the presser?
It was generally good. Kind of similar to maybe not as pumped up as Monday, but he was still kind of you know, demonstrative at times about certain things as well. Not as what's the word I'm looking for? Down, I guess, as one would think after a game like that, where it feels like you should have won and you know won by a lot more, and the defense was definitely an issue. But you know, he straight up said, like I told you guys before that the defense was a work in progress, and yeah, it was generally pretty upbeat. He said that the defense is going to have to continue to be a work in progress. He mentioned that a lot of these guys, you know, haven't started. I know you guys kind of talked about it earlier on. Um, and then he said, let's see, he was asked about the fourth down. He said, you know, he has a lot of faith in the offense. He didn't mention the defense in that question. I didn't expect him to. But yeah, it was surprisingly upbeat for how it might have seemed, how the game might have seemed, and how it went down. But yeah, pretty. I mean, the one thing he said was, you know, tomorrow we'll watch the film, and doing that from a winning end is much better than from the opposite end.
Yeah,
I unfortunately did not. I had the last question I asked about the linebackers. Unfortunately, he didn't say good question, but I hope he enjoyed my question about the linebackers.
Well, I wanted to ask you guys who go to more of the pressers in terms of, do you think that one of the reasons he was almost giddy or upbeat at the earlier pressers during the training camp is just because, like you said, the defense is a work in progress? It is what it is. There's no reason to like freak the F out too much about it because there's only so much you can do in a short period of time. Do you think, like, kind of adding on to what you're saying, Alec, that like he tried to warn us? Like, do you think that's why he wasn't as stressed as maybe, you know, last year or something like that?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a part of it. He knows the challenge that he's taken on with this defense. He's obviously seen them much more than we have every single day in practice. So I think that's definitely a part of it. Because I feel like he's very, in terms of how he views things. I mean, obviously he's a smart guy to be a football coach. I feel like all football coaches are, but I feel like he's a lot more intelligent in how he kind of views things from a big picture perspective. And by looking at it, you know, as you know, the defense is a work in progress. Yeah, the defense was in fact a work in progress today. It's going to be in the future. I feel like that was definitely a part of it, where it's just like, you know, it didn't seem like he was really shocked by anything today.
But speaking of which, do we want to just play the presser here, and we can kind of comment on it if we want to, and talk about things he said?
One sec.
So I have a share if you want to just accept it, Rich.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Even better, easier.
Perfect.
Let
me know if this is too loud. What'd you say?
So
You're
you went
not
on
on
their
our YouTube channel?
YouTube. You're not on our YouTube.
Oh, I didn't know
channel?
you posted already.
The
Yeah,
heck,
dude.
man?
I do everything.
Thanks for
Is this good
covering us
volume?
and sticking around.
Could even turn it up actually a little bit.
Really happy for our team, for
Seems like StreamYard's
coaches,
volume control
players,
is much better than
everybody.
Riverside's.
Hats off to Ohio U.
Is it
Played a
good
heck of a
volume?
ball game. Parker Navarro is certainly a special athlete. We knew that coming in, and he didn't disappoint. Big hats off to our student section. I thought that was awesome. It was packed. They came early. They stayed late. They impacted the game. They truly impacted the game. They had a big part in that block punt because they caused the illegal procedure, which backed them up 5 more yards and made me feel more comfortable calling a punt block. And then sure enough, they blocked a punt for a touchdown. So when your student section can do that, that's important. And we're going to need those guys in 8 days. So I'm going to ask them to come on back and do exactly what they did this week, because that was excellent. I'll let you know, rather than me go on, why don't I just try to answer questions you have? And certainly I'm excited to be 1-0. It's hard to win. Plenty of things we have to get better at, but I like doing it from the win column. So I'll open up for questions.
Just on that final drive, what factored into the decision to go forward on 4th and 7 that ended up sealing the game?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the situation, if you complete it, the game's over. I have a lot of faith in our quarterback. He's a winner. And I thought Kurt Chiraka made a magnificent call, and they did something that they really don't do. I mean, they loaded it up and they brought everybody. And I kind of thought they would.
I mean, in fairness, they were doing that all game, but onward.
Well, a lot of those
So
are run
Kurt-
situations, though.
Oh,
Right.
good point.
That and to his point, I wanted to just pause it there to hash this actually out, because what were you guys thinking? Did you think it was the right move to go for on 4th? Because obviously your risk, if you kick it, you can block it. Or if you kick it, they still need the touchdown to win. Your defense has struggled. Whereas if you complete it there, it's over. And I used to not be in that mindset. I used to say, just take the conservative approach, but seems like the metrics bear out that you should go for it there to ice the game and just say, hey, we're playing to win. What were your guys' thoughts on that sequence?
I mean, personally, and this is going to sound kind of, I don't know, maybe it sounds dumb, but I would rather have given them the ball with a 3-point deficit than a 6-point deficit, because I feel like if they needed to score a touchdown, they could have and would have.
It felt that way.
But if they were comfortable just setting up a field goal and going into overtime, I feel like that's how we would have had to win that game. But I think it was the right call to go for it in that situation, given that we were able to kind of get whatever we wanted all game. And that's kind of why, if we're going back to the Illinois game, one of the points that I had last year is I thought they scored and gave Illinois too much time on the clock at the end of the game, because they had moved the ball all game against us at will. And when we gave them the ball back, they had roughly 2 minutes left. I think they had one timeout.
It was, I think it was 1:06 with 2 timeouts. Or so.
2 timeouts.
But they had scored 3 straight touchdowns, and I don't even know if Rutgers had got them to a 3rd down.
Yeah, so it was you got to kind of play not only the odds, but also know kind of how things are, what way the wind is blowing in a metaphorical sense. And in this game, they would have probably scored a touchdown if we gave them the ball back with, I don't know, 2 minutes or whatever we give. If we would have given them the ball back with at least a minute and a touchdown and a timeout, I think they probably would have scored a touchdown if they needed.
Yeah,
to
my
score a
thinking, basically what Mike said. Either way, they could have taken the lead with a touchdown. I think if they were down 3 instead of down 6, they probably would have been more comfortable being a little bit more conservative once they got into field goal range. So yeah, that's pretty much what Mike said. It is what I'm thinking. In that, yeah, it was a good decision. Just go for it right here, because at the same time, if you don't get it, you're basically giving Ohio the ball where they would have gotten it after the kickoff anyways, had they kicked the field goal and made it. And again, like I said, they could still take a lead and potentially win the game with a touchdown. So yeah, pretty much what Mike said. It's basically my thinking too.
I kind of agree with both of you, but I don't know. 4th and 7 scares the shit out of me. And it sounds crazy to say this, but I see 4th and 7. And if you showed me 4th and 5, I'd be so much more confident going for it, just because it's such a 2-yard difference. It shouldn't mean much, but I mean, yeah, that's the problem. They were just driving on Rutgers defense with ease, it seemed like, and it's just too risky to give them even the ball back. So just running out, and then you get to that 4th and 7. You just got to trust a guy like DT Sheffield. I actually thought they were going to trust Ian Strong more than DT Sheffield, but I understood DT just because, like, right off the line, quick snap, quick throw. There you go, wide open, perfect, done. Get it over with.
Yeah, and we talked to Ethan Kalikmanis after the game as well, and he was asked about that play, and you said, they had DT one-on-one. I knew they were going to get him one-on-one, and I knew he was going to win. So that kind of shows the trust that they already have in DT and the connection that him and Ethan already have with each other.
Do you think it was the right? Obviously, in hindsight, it was a successful play. But David, do you think it was the right move from a process standpoint to go for it there?
I think there was a timeout right before it, right? Because Miami was trying to, or I'm sorry, Ohio was trying to just stop the clock, right? Because it was
I think it was the 2-minute warning before that 4th down.
Oh, right. So yes, I think, and this kind of to your point about the Illinois game last year, the good coaches, when they have that extra time to draw up a play, it's like the conversion rate has got to be super high. Like that was the same thing with Illinois last year. Every time they had extra time, they got a big play. Every time Rutgers had extra time, even if it was like a booth review extra time or a commercial, an injury, every time it felt like those offenses were making plays. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that gave them enough time. Ethan, Kirk talked it out. They knew they were going to get DT in that situation, and that he's just got that quickness, like you mentioned, Richie, that it's going to be hard to cover him. So it's do or die, like win the game. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I used to be more of the mindset of like it's kind of bad for momentum because if they stop you, then, they have all the momentum. But, yeah, I've come around, especially with what you're saying about the 3 points, that, yeah, they have momentum, but they might have been willing to just be more conservative once they got in field goal range, even though their kicker wasn't exactly giving you reason for confidence with some of those kicks that he made.
I'm going to keep rolling here on this presser, but if anyone wants to stop and talk about anything, feel free to let me know.
Ethan stood in there knowing that he was going to get hit, and he drilled it. I mean, he dimed it, and all night. I thought he was very sharp. I think somebody told me we were 5 for 5 on 4th down conversions, which probably means we have to get better on 3rd down conversions. But I'll tell you what, to be able to do that calmly and execute the way he did, I think his growth and development keeps showing through. So sure, I'm glad we have him. He's do a good job.
David, did you want to say something there? Or were you just agreeing with? We were
just agreeing. You said it was you that said it earlier, right?
Yeah.
More encouraged about what you saw from your offense or concerned about what you saw from your defense?
I think what we're going to – first of all, I'm very, very encouraged about our offense. The running backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, multiple. There's some depth there. And then the offensive line. I mean, they did a good job tonight. Defensively, I feel like, as I'm watching the game, I'm like, okay, we got to do more of this. We got to get better at this. We had 6 guys that had never start the game. And then we brought in guys that had played. So – that played not very much either. So, you know what? I knew we were, I've told you guys all along, I haven't tried to hide it. It's a work in progress, and it will be all year long. We'll get better and better.
I think he means have never started for Rutgers, not never started a game, by the way.
Yeah, I put
a lot
that
of guys
together
that
when I
haven't
was
played
listening
together either, right? We had a lot of guys out there that, we've been here for 7-8 months. So I'm encouraged that we have plenty of room for development, and we're going to have to do that, right? Fundamentally, that's how you do it. You don't go create new defenses. You create better fundamentals that will, when they execute those fundamentals and we get better and better and better, then the calls will work better and better. We had, I really think this kid is special as far as getting out of trouble. He's not just quick, he's fast. There's a difference, right? When a guy's quick, he can get out of the way, but he can't run away from you. This guy had the speed to run away from some fast. Kyle Sanders is a fast player. There was one time he closed the angle and ran through it. So, but
what if I'm tired of all these maintenance and overdraft fees?
Check out 360 checking from
I guess
Capital
you
One.
get Capital One at that point.
Oh God, sorry.
We're going to see plenty of good football players in the Big Ten. So we have a lot of work to do. I think our coaches, our players, everybody knows that. But I do know this, that they're hungry to do it, and we'll get better.
Greg, you used 3 different running backs tonight. How was that balancing it and distributing the carries? And has that been the plan all along?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Shaw, I think, does a great job with those running backs, and I've said it in the preseason that running back inherently is a selfish position, right? Because there's only one ball, and only one guy can carry it. Yet Coach Shaw continues to do a great job of creating a real brotherhood in that room, and they pull for each other. And then there's still Sam Brown there too. So I'm excited about the development of our running back room. We had CJ, who was new. Antoine, right, and then Benji. You're talking about guys that have put in their time, worked really hard, and I'm anxious to see them continue to grow as we move forward.
Greg, what do you think surviving an opening night like this does for your team moving forward?
Yeah, I think I've been a part of doing this for a while now, so I've been a part of some teams that had great years that won games by 1 point that they shouldn't have even been close, right? And then they go on. And I've also been part of teams when you go blow people out and then you're not very good. So one game is one game. As I told the team, we've worked really hard all training camp. Celebrate, and then we got to get back to work. We're going to get back to work tomorrow. And I'm excited to get in here with the players and watch the tape. I'm excited to watch the tape tonight. I can't wait to see. All right, I'm gonna pull probably 20 plays of defense that if we just do this step better or that eye's better, those are dead plays. Some of them aren't. Parker Navarro, he's fast and he's good and he broke contain. And but we had opportunities for sacks. I was really hoping we'd get sacks, but I also knew it was going to be a challenge to get them down. Not a lot of people get them down. So we have to get better at that because we'll see some mobile quarterbacks on our schedule.
Coach, can you talk about your special teams? Obviously, you alluded to earlier with the punt block, but also your punt defense was really good. You had your gunners get down there quickly, make some big tackles that set them back. Just talk about your special teams overall tonight.
Yeah, I think it starts with the two guys who run it. Eddie Allen and Jake Barr did a great job. I mean, they're excellent coaches, and then they have some assistants that do a great job. I mean, it's really an operation. Special teams is important at Rutgers, and every player in the room knows it. And you see a lot of starters out there because for our formula to win football games, I've told them all along, we need to win in the special teams area. Now, every coach I've ever been around that I worked for says we got to win the special teams battle. And I've always said, well, why should we win it, more than the other team, just like offense and defense. One of the things that I tell our team is the amount of time we spend on it, we have to. And when we don't, it's discouraging, right? And I was really excited for Jay Patel too, right? Like specialists, as coaches, we look at specialists and special teams sometimes separately. But Jay Patel broke a Rutgers record for consecutive field goals tonight, which I didn't know. They told me that. So when you have guys that are doing their job the right way and you start plugging pieces in, we had a lot of guys on special teams that hadn't played. So I'm excited about that. That's going to have to be a big part of our repertoire if we're going to be able to, win games.
It's sometimes easy to forget that Antoine Raymond's supposed to be a freshman. But what did you see from him tonight? His running, but also some of the nuances and pass block.
Yeah, you're right. And that's one of those situations, right, where he reclassified when his school, closed up. And boy, are we grateful we have him here because he's not only a really good player, but a great young man. So I think the things that you see is the things that they're learning, how to be a little bit more patient, all three of them really, how to be more patient, how to wait on some runs. And then the protection part, I think all of them put their face in there. And that's hard to do, right? Because some of those guys are coming with running starts. That's not an easy thing. And I know Ethan was grateful for the protection.
Schiano here from Undrafted US. This offseason, I had the opportunity to speak with Deron Harmon, and he kind of spoke about last season, how you guys left some games on the table, kind of beating yourselves. Tonight, it seems like you guys limited the turnovers and penalties a bit. Was this a step in the right direction? This is kind of, what represents Rutgers football.
Yes and no. We've played really good defense around here, and we need to get better at that. So I wouldn't say that's indicative of Rutgers football, but complementary football, kind of bailing each other out. And Duran's right. Duran's a football guy, and he understands. But, we're 18-2 since we've been back in this second run when we don't turn the ball over. So it's, I always talk to the offense. It's not that complicated, right? Don't turn the ball over. You have a very good chance of winning the game. So the ball is the program around here, and we're very, very clear about that. I didn't like the fact that we didn't get any takeaways. I thought there were opportunities to get takeaways tonight, and we didn't take advantage of them. So that's one of those fundamentals. And I wish I could tell you, we didn't work on it that much, so it'll get better. But
I just want to stop it here. I didn't really.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, I was going to say the only opportunities for turnovers that I saw were those bad snaps by Ohio, but Parker Navarro handled them pretty well, given that he had to jump up and catch like 2 snaps that he tipped to himself. But I didn't see any plays that were really turnover worthy.
There was one that was really close, and it was either Bo Mascow or Cam Miller. It was towards the opposing sideline. It was late in the game, and he looked like he was going to read it perfectly. And honestly, I think even Alex said it. He's like, it probably should have got defensive pass interference because he ends up hitting the receiver way too early. But I forget who it was, but he had a chance to make a really good play on the ball, and instead just decided to basically hit the receiver. And
yeah, that was Cam Miller, I think. It was like number 7 versus number 7, right? And
yes,
it looked kind of like they were physical with each other.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was also a Cam Miller where a guy ran a slant on him, and it just hit the receiver like in the hands, and then like fluttered back. And I'm not sure if it was Elad. I think it was Elad. Might have been Sanders, but I think it was Elad.
Yeah.
Where if he reacted maybe a hair quicker, he might have had it. But I think that was the play immediately before the block punt. So Josh saying I think that was the tip ball, but I think it was the play immediately before the block punt, if I'm remembering right.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, that they had only 3 passes defended on 31 pass attempts. So, I mean, hopefully that was luck, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of plays where guys were like in the area.
Next week, I think we might get some. We'll talk about our next opponent
They
a
just
little bit here.
Ended shutout. Yeah. 17-0.
You guys have a few great questions in the chat we're going to get to, but I just want to finish up Greg's presser here before we get into them.
We spent a lot of time on it, so that's why it's frustrating. But you know what? Sometimes right before that tree falls, you got to swing the axe one more time, and we're going to keep swinging it, and we'll get there. We'll take the ball away.
A kiss for each day we'd spent apart.
Damn it, Mike.
All right, Mike, we're getting you YouTube Premium for Christmas.
Greg, can you remember a time when you went for it five times on 4th down of the game? First part and second part, is that indicative of the way you think you'll play this year with the confidence you have in this offense?
Every game, I always tell you guys, every game takes on a life of its own. And yes, I do have confidence in our offense and in our quarterback. But games, you do it long enough, you get a feel. Games take on a feel. And I just felt like we needed to be more aggressive than normal tonight and play to our strengths. And 4th and 7, that's counting on your strengths.
This man took my question.
I don't know. I want to touch on that. I think Schiano has a really good feel for this team this year, given that he did go for it on 4th down. And maybe it's, like just an amalgamation of all the other things we've already talked about, being confident in the offense, knowing the defense is a bit porous right now and coming together. But I feel like Schiano, for the most part, called an A game overall.
Man's nuts are dragging on the ground right now. There's just like a couple scenarios, like you gotta get what is it? Stan's dad. What's Stan's dad?
Randy Marsh, yeah.
Randy Marsh. That's what it is. Just wheeling down the nuts down the street. I give him credit. Like I never thought, and someone said it in chat before. It might have been I forget who it was, but
you want to bring that up now?
Yeah.
That comment?
Well, I could bring that comment up, but it's insane. Like I've just never seen Greg Schiano like this confident in his offense. It's usually so opposite. It's just crazy to see, and we'll see more of it all season long.
And Josh asks a great question here: should Rutgers remain this aggressive on 4th down by going for it instead of punting in future games? I think they should. I think we should be going for it when we have an offense that's this good in reasonable situations, in game scenarios that make sense. Hopefully, like we talked about, and like Greg mentioned, hopefully we're not going 1 for 9 on 3rd down to force us to make those tough decisions. But I do think that we should remain aggressive on 4th down because we need to create as much variance in these games as possible in terms of, creating opportunities for big wins, I guess. Big wins in the sense that, like, when you you double down in blackjack when you have an 11, basically facing whatever hand, because it gives you the biggest opportunity to win money. And it's the same thing on these fourth down calls. Like, sure, the if you don't get them, it's certainly creating a bad situation for your defense, but it might be the only way you could win games later in the season. And converting on fourth down in a game where the stakes are, I guess, a little lower against Ohio might harden the team and make it kind of second nature later in the season. But,
Well, I mean, it's scenario based, right? Like, it depends
Yeah,
on where you're at, what's the score, what time of the game it is.
Yeah, but also it's important to help show your team that you're trying to win. But there's a fine line, to your point, about playing to win and playing stupidly. And that's, 4th and 11 early in a game that's 0-0. Like, that would just look reckless. I mean, I think UMass converted a 4th and 10 against Rutgers in that 2019 season opener. But other than that, and I think Rutgers had a 4th down with McLean Carter in that game too, or else it might have been 21-0 that I think cut it to 14-7. But yeah, I mean, I agree it's down in distance, but he's going to have to strike the balance of, as the team needs to know they're playing to win, but not too much, right? Like in a tight game against Purdue or Maryland, you might not go for it. Like, to your point, you went for it today when you're trying to figure out, reveal the character of your team in those moments.
Yep. Let's see what else Greg had to say here. Close this out.
Can you remember going for 5 times in a game?
No, I don't. And if they were, it was, 4th and 1s, and we just happened to come up with that. Some of those tonight weren't that. So, but you know what? You didn't see anything in our guys that, was any different than any other down, other than the crowd noise and things. I think they stayed very much, on the spot.
The linebacker depth was certainly tested tonight, down a couple guys on the injury report. It seemed like Moses Walker and Dariel Jabomi were out there for nearly every snap. What did you see from them tonight as two of the main returning starters on the defense?
Yeah, they did. They played almost every play, if not every play. I don't remember looking up and seeing anybody else out there. So that's yeoman's work. That's a hard team to be. Some games you play in a phone booth. This game was played from sideline to sideline, and those linebackers were running all night. So to be able to, it's a testament to their conditioning and, their mental toughness that they were able to play well. I thought Moses had a good game, and Chapa, I thought, did a good job as well. So we'll see. When you watch the tape, there'll be things that drive me crazy. But again, we were so close a couple of times to getting Parker down. That changes the whole complexion of the game. But that's football, right? Those inches, so many times the difference between success and failure is that much. So, but it's a good place to start. And, we'll be teaching from the winning column tomorrow, which is much better than the other side. So appreciate you covering us and staying here tonight. And again, to those students, can't thank them enough. Can't wait to see them out there next week. Appreciate you guys.
I want to ask you a question, Alec, kind of piggybacking off your question. Had they ever made it clear about personnel? How much is the head coach's decision? How much is the coordinator's decision? And how much is the position coach's decision as to who's in there in certain situations?
I don't believe so. I guess that's on the docket to ask about, maybe, but I don't believe so.
But Schiano has gone out of his way, especially with Demir Shaw talking about running backs. He said he's got a really good feel for when, certain guys are hot, when to send another guy in. So I do think they have a fair amount of autonomy as to when guys will rotate in and out. But at the same time, I do think that Schiano probably has the ability to, override any of those decisions, get Campbell back out there or whatever. But I think as he's gotten older, I feel like he's put more and more trust into his assistants and given them a lot more onus on, a lot more power to kind of make those decisions. But I don't know, that's just me from afar here.
Also, one thing I noticed in that last answer, has he called Dariel Jabomi Chop before? I feel like he has, but I don't remember any instances.
DJ Choppa on Instagram.
I thought that was interesting because obviously the mantra being the chop and all that.
Yeah, to answer Dave's question, no, he's never said it, but I know he's had a lot of influence, especially on defense in the past. I think with Harris Simiak, and you might actually know better than I do, that he actually gave him a lot more leeway of doing whatever he wanted to, basically, and he just trusted Harris Simiak towards the end. versus I don't know if he still has that trust with Rob Smith just based on, the fact that he fired Rob Smith twice.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's less the head coach and it's more the balance between the coordinator and the position coach, because the coordinator wants to run certain plays more so on offense. And they're like, well, we want this guy in there. But then maybe not. Like you were talking about the running back routes that were not used, like wheel routes or anything. I think it was 2 years ago against Temple, and he threw it to all three backs in that game. Benjamin had a touchdown. Brown had one where I think he was like knocked out. One of them had a touchdown. One of them where they were like knocked out at the 1 yard line in that game. And he might have even thrown one to Manungai. But that was like a player agnostic move.
Yeah.
But like you don't want to use
Benjamin.
Yeah, you can't use your backup to DT Sheffield like DT Sheffield. He's DT Sheffield.
Different guy.
That's why I was curious. Like if you guys observe it, it's probably hard to see in practice, or if they never talk about it.
I don't think, to kind of touch on what you're kind of alluding to, I don't think they're going to be able to continue. It's not sustainable to only play two linebackers in the moving forward. Hopefully it's like a short-term thing with Abram Wright, because I feel like he really did come on from the time, like from the Pinstripe Bowl through like the middle of last season. I feel like he made some huge strides. So I hope that he's able to step in and be that, like, third linebacker in the rotation, because it seems like nobody else is really ready to step in and take that role right now based on how they allocate playing time.
You probably can't talk about it, but it's possible that they would shift from a 4-2-5 to some more 3-3-5 looks if they had to. If this gets more off the rails, we'll see. Next week you're playing a team that was just shut out. So I imagine they're going to keep doing what they're doing.
That seems a lot worse too. They're replacing all 11 defensive starters, I think. All 11 offensive starters. And then I think 7 of 8 defensive starters, something like that. 7 or 8. I forget what it is. It's a crazy number, but
they just look discombobulated. I watched the first half because obviously it just came on right after the Rutgers game. So not to totally spoil the previews for next week, but they were just discombobulated. I imagine they'll learn stuff next week. I don't imagine Rutgers will shut them out, but at the same time, it didn't look like their offense was cohesive. It wasn't like little things. It was like plays completely blowing up that Wisconsin looked good, but they didn't look like amazing on defense. So I think it's going to be a much different game next week.
Yeah, Miami of Ohio does not look. They look like a shell of themselves from last year, whereas Ohio looks basically like they're going to be just as good as they were a year ago. I'm going to run through some stats from the Red Hawks tonight, because this is pretty crazy. They had 10 offensive drives today in Wisconsin, 7 first downs, 0 of 9 on third down, 117 total yards of offense, 9 of 18 passing, 2 interceptions thrown, just 34 yards rushing. And I know college stats can look a little wonky with a bunch of sacks thrown in. The quarterback was only sacked 3 times. 5 penalties for 60 yards. Time of possession only 20 minutes to Wisconsin's 40 minutes. Ugly F-level performance from their offense tonight. You got to hope that Rutgers maybe can do similar things to Wisconsin.
So the quick of it is their offensive line's big. They're probably bigger than Ohio, but they're not agile, and guys are just flying off the edge, whether it be linebackers, because Wisconsin runs that like 2-4-5. So they were just flying around the outside, and then the Miami quarterback was basically taking one read and then running. So that's why he wasn't sacked, but he was just not even getting to his second or third read and just taking off like wherever he saw daylight. And that was how it was just bad. And then his throwing, he like kind of short arms the ball and also like was dropping down on throws. So his mechanics were awful. So hopefully Rutgers can take advantage of that with some knockdown passes, and the fact that he's not going to beat you by like a strong, like deep ball. That'll probably be a duck. So, Obviously, we'll talk about it more as the week goes on, but it was pretty evident they had one play call, which was 2 receivers go deep, throw it to the guy underneath, and then once Wisconsin figured that out, it was like they couldn't do anything in the pass game.
Do you trust Rob Smith to figure it out? Is the
basically,
question.
yeah, basically what you're saying is Whitey Collier might be one of the best 4 guys to put on the line next week. I'm just kidding. That's a joke, by the way. Please don't
Yeah,
take that
well,
seriously.
someone said it in the chat already. I saw it. I ignored it.
I mean, it does get to the point where, like, say the pressure is about this level for the first few games. Like, at what point do you dramatically try and change what you're doing along the defensive line? And I get that it's probably too early to be calling for that, but
I know it's their rush package and like their third down package, but like that package was the only one that actually created pressures from what I saw. And I think it was Weaver on the inside, Thompson on the outside, Eric O'Neal on the other outside. I forget who the other tackle was.
Was it Thompson inside or Walker?
Thompson was inside.
Oh, yeah. Thompson was inside.
Maybe it was
and then Jordan
Thompson.
Walker was the other guy
Jordan
inside.
Walker. That's what I meant. Yeah.
But the Miami of Ohio quarterback, to kind of touch on him a little bit more, Daquan Finn is a 7th-year super senior. He started 3 full seasons at Toledo, and then he transferred last year to Baylor, where it looks like he played 1, maybe 2 games. But at Toledo, he had, not like any hugely standout seasons, but he was a decent quarterback at Toledo. A pretty mobile guy too. He's
good. He kind of reminds me of Ja'Cory Brown from Miami, except they can't throw deep as well. But like if you see him, this guy was evading pressure like crazily. He's very, very good athlete. So I imagine maybe at a lower level, he just roll out and like play backyard football, or that he can throw some of those ducks, but because they're stacking the box, he's got one-on-one coverage. He did not look like a guy who could throw for 2,000 yards, like in today's game.
Well, that sounds very familiar to the quarterback Rutgers played today too, given, it was all backyard football, a lot of ducks, but accurate
Parker's got an
ducks.
arm though, at least. Yeah.
And he was really good pre-snap. One of you guys was talking about that before Alec joined. It felt like he was ahead of whatever. He knew, he could tell what Rutgers was doing on defense. And like that one duck he threw where he was like in their own 5 or 10, and he just threw it up there in a double move. Like that was a pretty savvy move there. I don't think a lot of other quarterbacks would have risked it. But he knew there was going to be no safety high. It was a cover 0. And I mean, I don't know how he recognized that pre-snap. I have to rewatch it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the cooler things about going to a game in person and then watching on the tape, because you get like almost like a 3-dimensional view of the game as to like what kind of happened. Is there anything you guys, any thoughts or anecdotes that we didn't touch on that you guys wanted to hit on? Because we've gone an hour and 20 now. I figure most people are kind of tired of hearing us talk.
I mean, I was going to give some of the takeaways that I saw. I mean, a lot of them were similar
Yeah, go for
to what you guys were saying. I was listening on my drive home. Probably the most impressive thing for me on offense was the offensive line, the way that they were able to just get push in the run game and then just kind of create a little bubble around Nathan in the passing game. It seemed like at times, he got to the top of his drop, and granted there was some solid coverage from Ohio, but it got to a certain point where it's like he's thinking like, wow, I still have time. What do I do now? And he kind of had to improvise on his own because he had so much time to throw. So I was really impressed with the offensive line. Sorry, I'm watching Nebraska, Cincinnati, and Brendan Sorsby just threw to nobody. And so for the defense, I thought in particular the 2 safeties left some to be desired. I felt like there were definitely some not great angles taken. I mean, all over the defense, but those 2 kind of in particular. This is one thing that we're gonna constantly say, and it's just under Schiano, it's just kind of never gonna happen because it's just how he teaches defensive backs. But there are times when it's like, kind of like Mike was talking about, when it's like a duck in the air. It's like it just feels like they don't really turn their heads around at times. It feels like,
Never.
and it definitely led to some passes completed that I thought should not have been.
But that's just kind of how it's taught. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to question Greg Schiano on defensive backs. The guy knows what he's doing, but it's just kind of an annoying thing that kind of pops up sometimes. Any other takeaways? Wide receivers, obviously, very impressive. I remember saying back when he first committed, looking at DT Sheffield, his explosiveness was very clear, even in the North Texas tape. Like his get off the line of scrimmage is absolutely elite. So it made sense that a lot of the Ohio defensive backs were just not really even trying to like at least put a guy on him at least and just kind of rotate over and hope for the best. Um, and yeah, I also thought it was interesting. We saw some of the left tackle battle with Dante Chin and Tyler Needham. That was funny. The first play Needham came into the game, it was the wide open pass to Sheffield for the touchdown, so he didn't get a lot of run on that drive. But I'm interested to see how that battle goes. Also interested to see how the running back battle goes and the DBs as well. Richie, I know you talked about it before. We saw a little bit of rotation there as well. Whether it was, Alshie Salam in there, we saw a lot of Cam Miller in the slot. Bo Masco at times as well. And then Jacoby Henderson, actually, I was pretty impressed with at times. Thought he made some nice highlight plays. Nebraska just won the game. Okay, wow. I saw this question before. I don't think Matt Rule has a punchable face. I actually think he's really cool. But anyways, those were some of my big picture takeaways. I'm sure I'll remember more when we reconverse on Monday or whenever we do next. But those are some of my big picture things. Obviously, Ethan was very impressive as well. The improvisation I thought was pretty interesting. Just the way that he was able to, make time, and even when he had extra time, kind of just maneuver around. I'm kind of rambling now, but those were some of my big picture takeaways.
I got 4 things because we're about to sign off. 4 things is a lot. I'm just gonna rattle them off. You got to comment on it. Just interrupt me. I hated on all the DBs before. I take it back. Jacoby Henderson was pretty solid today. I actually liked a lot what he did until the one stupid play where the guy was wide open, caught the touchdown, and he proceeded to hit him and then get hurt a little bit afterwards. Dumb, because there was no reason to hit him. It was already a touchdown.
That was the backyard football one. I think Parker Navarro made like 2 different guys run into each other on the scramble drill too.
It was just like he went to, and I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to force like the incompletion, but the guy already caught it. I think the ref had his hands up already, and he proceeded to hit him anyway. And it was probably a late hit, but dumb. But very good day for him. Number 2, Kelly Zinn was fucking everywhere, man. Like I give her a lot of credit. I saw her more today than I saw Pat Hobbs in 5 years, and Pat Hobbs was nice to us, and I have no issues with Pat Hobbs. Stupid guy for what he did, but I mean, she was everywhere. She was on the BTN halftime show. She was putting on a night helmet in one parking lot. She was eating pork roll, egg, and cheeses for the first time. Yes, it's pork roll. Don't even question that. And she was just literally everywhere and anywhere she could have been.
She was working her way through the lots and schmoozing with a lot of people.
Yeah, she also stuck around for the press conference as well.
Yeah. Oh, and she was in the locker room afterwards with the game ball. I don't know if she got the game ball or just had the ball in her hand. I don't know how that works. Number 3, there was a third one I was going to say. Oh, it's week 1. We got to stop overreacting. A lot of people in the chat are like, and I get it. I'm all aboard on the fire Rob Smith train, but we don't need to start it yet. Like the train hasn't left the station yet. It's getting there, but it's week 1. A lot of these teams have struggled, especially in the Big Ten. Like Wisconsin, we just talked about, only put up 17 points against a shitty Miami, Ohio team that replaced like almost everyone on defense and everyone on offense. Nebraska just won the game, mind you, but they only won by 3. Cincinnati's decent. Minnesota, like Drake Lindsay passed for 19 to 35. I think it's not that good. Against Buffalo, like then they were competitive
like
against
mid
Buffalo.
to lower MAC team. Yeah,
it was 13 to 10 in the going into the 4th. So if they didn't score those last 10 points, it's like yuck. What the hell? So like it's week 1. Don't overreact too much. Ohio's a pretty solid team. They gave them fits. And number 4, more importantly than anything, Robert Miller's in here and he's okay.
Well, thank goodness for that, because I heard the clip and it was it sounded quite unfortunate.
Oh, okay, perfect. Really glad to hear that, Robert. I hope I wasn't trying to make too much light of the situation. I just couldn't believe hearing it on the radio what happened.
Hey, okay, look, he's laughing.
How about you, David? Any closing thoughts before?
The only thing I mentioned really is like I agree with Richie, is like overreaction week. Obviously, one thing we didn't really touch on that I think is a bigger concern too for the defense was I really didn't think that those Ohio tight ends presented an athletic option. I mean, I know they were hyped up a little bit in the guy you guys had on your preview, but like that was just basic little ball handling like stuff. And those guys, they got 2 touchdowns, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be hugely concerning to me because I think the Rutgers defense is going to be have to be like back more to basics of just staying in lanes, keeping eye discipline, things like that. And they're not really at a point where they can prepare to defend tight ends like that. So that might be a problem for a while as the season goes on before they can kind of get. I think there's other things they have to work on first before they get to that. Conversely, I think the Rutgers offense, receivers, tight ends, like there's plenty of stuff that could be the next level there. So again, more reasons for optimism with the offense, but I think the defense, like kind of don't overreact, but they can only fix so many things in 1 week. I think long-term, what we'll probably see as the season goes on is we're going to see more younger guys play as they grow into roles. But right now, Rutgers is in survive and advance mode. You got to win these first 3 games, and then maybe you have a couple wrinkles for Iowa, and then go from there. You can't fix everything now or change the entire personnel, coaching responsibilities, or anything yet. You got to just get through these 3 games, and if you want to do something more creative against Iowa, so be it.
So touching on that real quick, David, if you are the head surgeon in the fix the defense triage room, what is the thing that you would focus on first? What's the biggest bang for the buck that's the easiest to fix on the defense? And I know that's kind of, saying a lot, but what would the thing that you would be focusing on most from what you saw?
Again, it's hard to say without seeing the all 22, especially on the line, because I just think you're whether you use them next week or not, you have to maybe you just take one blitz package that you focus on, like Jabome or Walker or a slot corner or whoever you want to pick, and next week you just use that until the tires fall off, like one blitz package, because I think that this defensive line will get some second effort sacks. We know Eric O'Neill has feasted in his career when he wasn't properly blocked. Like if he was coming on a stunt, or like he has the quickness to do that. And I think that you're going to have to come up with, again, even if it's 1 per week, like what's your blitz package for next week? And how do we fill in around that? Do we need to slightly modify personnel? Do we need to adjust our coverages a little bit? Whatever it takes. But I would start tinkering with that even as soon as next week, because you got to just see how it has ripple effects on your defense.
Love it. I don't really have any additional thoughts, but I really appreciate everybody who has joined the chat. I think we got still almost 120 people strong at 12:30 on a Thursday night after a huge victory. Oh yeah, more than that, because we also have the different channels just on YouTube rather.
Yeah, we're at 7:10 right now.
Wow.
Which you guys are sickos. Like,
I mean, I
12:30 in the morning, go to bed.
This is one of those games where, later in the season, maybe we look at the score and think like, how did, we play it that close? But these early season wins are typically like the weirder games of the season. So you just got to, like David said, survive in advance. You got the win. Now you're on to Miami of Ohio. It's a bit of a bummer that they are also playing tonight, so they're going to also be working on some extra rest and some extra prep time. Ideally, you play on a Thursday. You hope you get a couple extra days of advance, not notice, but advanced preparation on a team. But I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling now, but
kind of a random one. But do you think them playing a Big Ten team week 1 helps them or helps Rutgers more?
I think it helps.
I mean, the way they got beat up today, I think it helps Rutgers more.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how Rutgers comes out of this game injury wise, like,
well, yeah, kind of gives them a game plan of like, hey,
like
look, they did that.
They got defeated so badly.
To that, I mean, if it was close, you could be like, okay, we can tinker with some things, but they got destroyed so bad, their offense, like, I don't even, like, they're going to be back to the drawing board. Not like we can tinker with this sort of thing. Defensively, I mean, maybe that's an advantage because I think that will probably help their defense. But I think for their offense, it doesn't matter. So,
because I mean, that game was 3-0 deep into the third quarter too. Like they played pretty well. I didn't see the game, but if you hold Wisconsin to 3 points as a MAC team on the road opening week, that's pretty good.
Did any of you see the injury? Because Edwards got hurt pretty bad. People were texting me, and in the Big Ten chat that I'm in,
I did not see that. It's unfortunate.
I'm gonna have to go rewatch that game though, just because it's on BTN Plus technically. Like, should be right. I think it's BTN.
Yeah, I think they have the live replays after each one. Also, I'm just seeing this now. Minnesota had a very Rutgers-like ending to their game as well. They had a 16-play, 58-yard drive that lasted 9 minutes and 40 seconds to end the game.
Was it a scoring drive or just a kill the clock drive?
No, it just says end of fourth quarter.
Oof.
Okay. Jeez.
I don't think it was that bad. It just non-contact. It's kind of gross. But also Gavin Wimsatt threw a pick to end the game.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Where have we heard this story before?
It was 4th and 10 to be fair. He definitely forced something, but he also went, I think it was 9 of 20 or something.
Yeah, he
like
was
that.
actually kind of cooking on that 2-minute drill before the pick. Ja'Cory Brown got his revenge on Gavin Wimsatt, from the bench, but
Also,
got his
Taven
revenge.
Jackson was the other quarterback. Damn, we're just talking about all Rutgers quarterbacks from that QB cycle. Like,
I still maintain that there is something there with Taven Jackson. I saw it in 2022, and I don't want to be wrong.
They were this close to landing him too.
But Taven Jackson's the one who was on. He was the one who was on Indiana, right?
Yeah.
And then
brother,
he in the game against who is it? Louisville, when he reached to the pylon and came up just short, and they ended up losing by a touchdown. I think was that those 2 years ago? I guess
had to be 2 years ago.
And then he got benched for Sorsby, who's the QB for Cincinnati in that game, who just threw it to nobody, right, Alec?
Yeah, he kind of threw a wounded duck right to Herzog, whatever his name is. Very good corner.
Is that number 0?
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah.
Sorry,
Also, we got the
15 of 29 for 130 yards.
Yeah. Also, we got I didn't realize that it is Rutgers President William Tate's birthday, but shout out to Night and Day because they got a post from William Tate. If I'm about to share my screen, if anyone wants to put it up.
Yeah, check it out. But they did sing him a happy birthday.
Yes, they did.
So
it's pretty cool.
I thought it was cool. He went up to the student section and shook hands with a bunch of the students before the game too.
A lot of TVs given out.
Yeah, how many TVs does this athletic department have, man?
There's 4 or 5 TVs given out yesterday, whatever you want to call it.
I'm also
insane.
One of the times, I think it was Jermichael Davis giving it out. He just kept going up the stairs.
Jermichael Davis, indecisive.
He was just going up the stairs for a while.
He didn't turn it over.
They eventually, I don't even know if he gave
you don't
it out
know
by
that.
the time
They just
the
cut the
kickoff
screen.
Yeah. Also, yeah, to answer the question, Tate was at the game. Yeah, he was in the stadium as well. He was wished a happy birthday.
Hey, in J Mike's defense, I would say if anybody got better over the course of the last season, I'll give him that.
It's fair.
I don't know if anybody else improved, but he definitely did.
Yeah. Whole basketball team was there today.
Yeah.
Dorian Jones looks like he's 110 pounds soaking wet. That is a crazy photo. But that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He just got on campus today, and it was cool that he was at the game too.
Yeah, bonding.
All right. Well, thanks to all 700 plus of you who are still with us. Like I said, on a Thursday night after a Rutgers victory. We'll be back next week. Rutgers
After
game
another
is
Rutgers victory.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll be playing. That game's at 3:30, I believe. So we'll probably be here around 8, if I had to guess, roughly.
I'm gonna try to get it going sooner, just because I like the immediate impact of people want to listen to us. Yeah, you're
to the press
screwed.
conference again.
You can call in.
You live closer to Rutgers than I do.
It's just the parking lot. Even today, I left you and I still didn't get out of the parking lot for another 20-30 minutes.
I got out.
Yeah, we got to figure out the logistics of an actual call-in ability. I know that there are services out there that do it. And
There's one
ways
through
you can
this
do it,
that
but-
I've
there
looked
is one
into.
through this.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting. So
Yeah,
we can
'cause
look into it.
I would love to talk to some of you guys through this, and it's a lot of fun. Like we all like interacting with you guys.
As long as they're not in their
possible.
car.
Yeah, let's be safe out there though.
Sorry,
Well,
Robert.
thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Glad that Robert's okay.
Yeah, thanks for joining us,
Oh
David.
yeah,
Open invitation.
yeah.
anytime you
Shout out
want.
to David. I didn't realize that you also did an instant reaction with Aaron Brightman. You're on double duty tonight.
Yeah, I got out of my daughter screaming. My wife refused to admit that I was right and that we should have let her fall asleep in the car. So I knew I was safe for like 15 minutes.
And that was an hour and 20 minutes ago.
I just texted her upstairs that we'll be done in 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago. So
Maybe we're not done yet. Keep going.
but it's my daughter's birthday. My daughter, my wife was in labor during the Northwestern game 2 years ago, which
did you leave the game?
What?
It was a away game, right? Yeah.
No, it was the first game.
Northwestern was 2 years ago. That was
Northwestern,
home. Yeah.
2 years
ago.
Okay, yeah.
In Labor Day weekend, Sunday.
Okay,
brutally hot out.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, so it's her birthday next Saturday, so I'm gonna have at minimum 35, 40 Brazilians. I think we had like 50 last year at the house for the party, and they just show up 2 hours late and don't leave. So
So you're not on the show next week.
no, it's funny. So my wife sets the invite. It's like, I don't know, 3 to 5 or whatever. And I'm like, all right, so all the Americans are gonna show up 3. They'll leave exactly at 5. And then all the Brazilians are going to show up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then they'll be here till whenever. So the game's at 3:30, right? So they better just win handily, or I'm going to not be a very good host. If I was a host today, it might not have been pretty.
Oh my god, that's great. All right, well, thanks once again for everybody who listened, and this is serious now. We're heading out of here. Big Dub starting 1-0. The Kelly's in tenure is still undefeated. I think, yeah. So
yep.
Keep it rolling. Hopefully, we can still be undefeated by the time next weekend's over. But for me, Richie, and Alec, and David, this has been another edition of the Night Report live post-game show. Reporting out.